This is it. Stop scrolling, stop hesitating, and for the love of everything tech, do not, I repeat, do not buy a new MacBook right now. We are standing on the precipice of something that isn't just an upgrade. It is a complete rewriting of the performance rulebook. If you thought the M4 generation was fast, or if you're still holding on to that beloved M1 Max thinking it's good enough, what I'm about to tell you is going to make you question reality. We are months away from the release of the M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pros, and the leaks coming out of Cupertino are painting a picture of a machine so powerful it frankly shouldn't be legal. We're talking about the kind of power that makes high-end desktop towers look like children's toys, a leap in artificial intelligence processing that could change your entire workflow overnight, and a graphics architecture that finally puts the Mac in the same conversation as top-tier gaming rigs. Today, we are going deep. We are breaking down the 18-core CPU monsters, the 42-core GPU titans, the astonishing benchmarks that have leaked, the release date that is sooner than you think, and the pricing strategy that might actually surprise you. This is the only guide you need for the MacBook Pro M5 Max. To understand the gravity of what is coming in early 2026, we have to look at the trajectory Apple has been on. When the base M5 chip soft launched in late 2025, it was a quiet revolution. We saw it in the iPad Pro and the base 14-inch MacBook Pro. And while the CPU gains were a respectable 15%, the graphics department saw a staggering 45% jump. That was just the entry-level chip. That was the appetizer. Now, we're preparing for the main course. The M5 Max is not just a scaled-up version of that chip. It is a distinct beast built on TSMC's enhanced 3nm N3P process. This isn't the 2nm shift some were hoping for. That is likely reserved for the M6 in 2027, but do not let that fool you. This refined 3nm process has allowed Apple to pack in transistor density that was previously thought impossible without overheating. We are looking at a chip that is physically larger, denser, and more thermally efficient than anything we have seen before. The report suggests that Apple has cracked the code on scaling performance without sacrificing the legendary efficiency that Apple Silicon is known for. Let's address the elephant in the room first, the design. I know many of you are waiting for that futuristic OLED redesign. Maybe something thinner, maybe something in a new color. If that is your deal breaker, you might want to close this tab and come back in 2027. The leaks are confirming that the 2026 M5 MacBook Pro will retain the chassis introduced in 2021. But here is why that is actually good news. This chassis is widely considered the best laptop design Apple has ever produced. It brought back the HDMI port, the SD card slot, and MagSafe. It has the best cooling system in its class. By keeping the design the same, Apple is signaling that this generation is about internal perfection. It is about taking a proven, beloved physical form and stuffing it with an engine that defies physics. You still get the mini LED liquid Retina XDR display, which, let's be honest, is still miles ahead of 90% of the market with its sustained 1000 nits of brightness and 120 Hz promotion. It is the S year of laptops, refined, perfected, and wildly powerful. Now, let's open up the hood and talk about the silicon because this is where the numbers get absolutely frightening. The rumored specifications for the unbinned M5 Max are pointing to an 18-core CPU. Let that sink in. 18 cores in a laptop. We're looking at a configuration of 14 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. To put that in perspective, the M3 Max, which was already a beast, topped out at 16 cores. Those 2 extra performance cores might sound small, but when you combine them with the architectural improvements of the N3P process, you're looking at multi-core scores that will obliterate workflows. We're talking about compiling massive code bases in seconds, not minutes. We're talking about running multiple 8K streams of ProRes video while simultaneously rendering 3D assets in the background, and the machine won't even stutter. The Geekbench CPU estimates are hovering around 33,000. For context, that is territory previously occupied by massive, power-hungry desktop workstations that require their own dedicated PAL. kits. You're getting that in a backpack-friendly device that runs on battery. But the CPU is arguably the boring part. The real revolution is happening in the GPU. The M5 Max is rumored to feature a 42-core GPU. Now, you might look at that number and say, wait, didn't the M4 Max have 40 cores? Yes, but these are not the same cores. Apple has completely redesigned the shader architecture and, crucially, has added dedicated neural accelerators to every single GPU core. This is a fundamental shift in how the chip handles graphics. It's not just about raw rasterization anymore. It's about intelligent upscaling and AI-driven frame generation. The leaked Geekbench Metal scores are hitting a stratospheric 219,000. That is a number that honestly doesn't make sense for a laptop. It suggests that the M5 Max will be able to handle hardware-accelerated ray tracing at speeds we have never seen on a Mac. Gaming, which has always been the Achilles heel of the Mac, is finally getting the hardware it deserves. We are expecting AAA titles to run at native resolutions with ray tracing enabled, competing directly with high-end mobile discrete graphics cards from NVIDIA. And we cannot talk about 2026 without talking about the AI buzzword. But with Apple, it's not just buzz, it's silicon. The Neural Engine, or NPU, in the M5 Max is getting its most significant overhaul since its inception. Apple is going all in on local, on-device AI. The rumors indicate a doubling of the TOPS, trillion operations per second, compared to the M4 generation. Why does this matter? Because of Apple Intelligence. We are moving toward a world where your laptop will run massive large language models, LLMs, locally, without sending data to the cloud. This means you could have a coding assistant that knows your entire project context running instantly and privately on your machine. You could have image generation tools integrated into Photoshop that render in near real time. The M5 Max is being built as the ultimate portable AI workstation. The memory bandwidth is also rumored to be getting a bump, likely pushing past the 500 gigabytes per second mark, which is critical for feeding these hungry AI models the data they need instantly. Connectivity is another area where the M5 Max refuses to compromise. We're looking at full Thunderbolt 5 support across the board for the high-end models. This isn't just a minor speed bump. We are talking about 120 gigabits per second of bidirectional bandwidth. This opens up the possibility of driving incredibly high-resolution displays at high refresh rates or connecting to massive external storage arrays with virtually zero latency. Wi-Fi 7 is also locked in, ensuring that your wireless speeds are future-proof for the next half-decade. And yes, battery life, the crown jewel of Apple Silicon, is expected to get even better. Thanks to the efficiency gains of the 3nm N3P process, we might finally see Apple marketing a 24-hour battery life. Imagine working a full, heavy production day, editing video, compiling code, hopping on Zoom calls, and never once reaching for your charger. That is the freedom the M5 Max promises. So, when can you buy this marvel of engineering? The timeline is becoming crystal clear. Apple seems to be shifting the release of its heavy hitters to the spring window. The leaked code in macOS 26.3 and supply chain chatter all point to a launch window between late February and early May 2026. This aligns perfectly with a spring event, where Apple often likes to show off its creative muscle. It's likely we will see the MacBook Air get a refresh slightly before or alongside these machines, but the spotlight will firmly be on the pros. This timing is strategic. It allows Apple to dominate the news cycle right before their Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC, in June, putting these machines in the hands of developers just as the next version of macOS is announced. If you're sitting on cash right now, this is the window you're saving for. Now, let's have the difficult conversation about price. You see numbers like 18-core CPU and 42-core GPU, and you immediately clutch your wallet. High performance usually demands a high tax. However, there's a silver lining here. Because Apple is reusing the existing chassis and display supply chain, the manufacturing costs for the physical hardware are stabilized. They aren't spending billions on retooling factories for a new aluminum shape. This means that despite the massive leap in silicon performance, the base pricing is expected to remain consistent with the M4 generation. In the US, you can expect the 14-inch M5 Pro to start around that familiar $1,999 price point, with the 16-inch M5 Max sitting at the top of the pyramid, likely starting around $3,499. Of course, once you start configuring this machine with 128 gigabytes of unified memory and 8 terabytes of storage, you're going to be paying the price of a used car. But for the base configurations of the Pro and Max chips, the value proposition is actually incredible. You are getting supercomputer performance for the same price as last year's model. So who's this for? This is the supercycle machine. If you're still holding on to an Intel MacBook Pro from 2019, begging it not to overheat when you open 3 Chrome tabs, this is your savior. The jump from Intel to M5 Max isn't just an upgrade. It's like teleporting 10 years into the future. Even if you were an early adopter who bought the M1 Max in 2021, the M5 Max finally offers enough of a performance delta to justify the upgrade. We're talking about 4x to 5x faster GPU performance in some workflows compared to the M1 Max. That is not a marginal gain. That is a business transformation. This machine is for the 3D artists who want to render on the go, the data scientists running local models, the video editors crunching 8K footage, and yes, finally, the gamers who want one machine to rule them all. In conclusion, the MacBook Pro M5 Max is shaping up to be the TikTok perfection of the Apple Silicon era. It takes the beloved design of the current generation and injects it with a level of power that is genuinely hard to comprehend. It is the ultimate expression of the current form factor, the last and greatest of its kind before the inevitable OLED shift. It is a machine built not just for 2026, but for 2030. It is fast, it is efficient, and it is coming sooner than you think. Start saving your pennies, list your old gear on eBay, and get ready, because when this thing drops, it is going to change everything. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of the Mac and want to stay ahead of the tech curve, do me a massive favor. Smash that subscribe button, share this video with your friends who are thinking about buying a laptop, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our live coverage when these monsters finally launch. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.